Thank you so much for joining me for this session of Dr. Plotzker's Mind. I like to read books. Each half year, I set myself a quota of 3 books to be distributed, uh, one as an audio book, one as an ebook, and one as a traditional book. The subjects are distributed as one fiction, one nonfiction, and one of a Jewish theme that might be either fiction or nonfiction. I far exceed that 3 book floor that I set for myself each half year, usually about double that. There are very few books that I start and don't finish, though not zero. Even among the ones that I set aside, I typically come back to them and finish them before the half year cycle concludes. I find the books in a variety of ways, but a common way in the last few years has been to listen to a podcast or an interview in which the author appeared, or sometimes a TED talk, and then seek out the book. That's what I've done with the last 2. The one I've just completed, Russell Moore's Losing Our Religion, and I'm currently about a quarter of the way through Adam Grant's Thinking Again. Each was obtained from the library. I've not actually bought a book in a very long time. In fact, I'm trying very hard to donate some of my books to an agency that claims to take most anything. Since I just completed the Russell Moore book, I'll do that one first, since Reverend Moore and I seem to have our share of parallels. I became acquainted with him as an interviewer of a podcast that I like to watch. He interviews a wide variety of guests, some familiar to me, some not. Despite him being very much affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention, though a bit of a pariah the last few years, for reasons that he outlined in the early parts of his book. His guests are not all Southern Baptists or even Christians. He's had a few very prominent Jewish guests. What he describes and what I connect with are the travails and litmus tests of religion that are often very counterproductive. In my own Jewish lifetime, going back perhaps to my early teen years, as exposés on the frequency of intermarriage became more highly publicized, the rabbis of my movement kind of got together and thought that they could shun or shame people, or at least give them second thoughts about intermarrying. The problem that they came up with is that they alienated people that deserve to be treated better, whether the parents of the couple or the children of the couple. The consequence was that those affected by that shunning departed for someplace else, usually Reform congregations with significant population outcomes of attrition within that movement. Russell Moore has a slightly different problem, but along the same theme. The Southern Baptists also achieved litmus tests, some compatible with their underlying ideology, some a little more dubious. Once you start mandating who congregational affiliates can vote for, and provide some harassment when they support the non-preferred candidate, there's going to be some dissatisfaction with that. The women have not been treated particularly well. The attitudes on race seem to be from another era, even though Reverend Moore himself was born after the Civil Rights Act and was raised in an area where people of all races had some protections from being barred from public accommodations or targeted for employment and housing. The older people in his convention follow the law, but in many ways behave in a way that they wish the law were still different. Now, both for my form of Judaism and Reverend Moore's Southern Baptist evangelical initiatives, the underlying religion still has merit, even though people are disaffiliating from it. Reverend Moore's book, Losing Our Religion, focuses a lot on gospel, a lot on Jesus as Savior, the need to have faith, the benefits of spreading gospel and behaving in accordance with the highest principles. Conservative Judaism, my own childhood imprint, though probably not where I would classify myself now, frittered some of its merit. It once stood for a very traditional Judaism with a few modern leniencies, such as driving or sitting with your family, but the educational system was rigorous. The liturgy was mostly complete. But as people left, they felt a desire to downplay that in hopes of getting people from elsewhere to join. As a consequence, good and bad. As a consequence, some of the top-down culture has been diffused, but the educational system is a skeleton of what it once was, and the attendance at services are anything but the tradition and need for skills that was imprinted on me in my youth. The religions, his and mine, have merit in their own right, but in order to sustain that, the leaders of his religion and mine really have to focus on treating people in the best way and implementing what they really stand for. As Reverend Moore's very well thought out book outlines, they really haven't, and he questions whether there's a leadership that really wants to. Thanks so much for sharing this session of Dr. Plotzker's Mind.